Etapu, Namaste, Assalamu alaikum, may Buddha bless you. This is Qesankh with another exciting video for you. In this video, we're going to be talking about mating and dating, the how to hook up. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time to my channel, hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. If you'd like to know more about my spiritual teachings, you can scroll down below and hit on any one of those ebook links, and you can download a free ebook which will take you further into my spiritual practices. If you want to follow that rabbit down the rabbit hole and get more information, you can become a Patreon supporter for as little as $1, $5, or $20 per month. It's up to you, and you can cancel at any time. You get exclusive videos on the esoteric, videos that teach you how to meditate, proper breathing exercises, how to contact the ancestors, how to invoke a spirit, how to create a magical amulet. And if you are an Osir level supporter, you'll get all your oracle readings for free. Last but not least, share this video with family and friends so we can get the revolution started. So, Harun Nefer. I just got back from my flight. I was away for a couple of days, and I'm a bit jet lagged now, tired. And I remember a time when it used to be I was afraid of flying. And I got that from my mother. Terrified of flying. I picked that up from her because she was afraid of everything. And she would give us gory details about what she would see. Like she would say, I just saw this news broadcast with this plane crashing. Come watch it, you know? So that carried over to myself. But when I got into the spiritual teachings, I learned to meditate and to hypnotize myself to get rid of that fear. And I started to enjoy flying. So much so that I wanted to have turbulence because turbulence was fun. Now I'm rather annoyed at flying. So when I have to fly someplace, I don't want to go. I find it very uncomfortable sitting there for a long time. And most times, if I'm going for about 4 or 5 hours, I just meditate the entire time. But you'll typically see me in my seat with my hand rested against my face going, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Just bored out of my mind. I have people who come to see me from France, most recently Ireland, and they're like telling me, come to Ireland. And I said, well, or come to Russia too. So I said, how long is the trip? It says about 11 hours. I said, I would absolutely die sitting in a plane for 11 hours. I would be so bored, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. And I can meditate for 4 or 5 hours, but not 12 hours or 11 hours or whatever. I would go nuts. So I don't think I'll be going to those countries anytime soon. Now, getting rid of fear is something we don't focus on in this society, nor do we focus on self-development. And there's a reason for that, because they don't want you to be well. They don't want you to be well. They don't want you to be mentally balanced. They want you to be insane. And that's what you'll find in most of the population. We used to call them in the Kemetic traditions, Sahu people who act on their animal instinct. But I would just take a detour for a moment to let you know that while I was out, I picked up some new tarot cards. Every now and then, if I find some cards that are unique and I like the art, I will purchase them. My last deck that I bought was the black deck, and this is it here. And here's the manual. And I love these cards. They're very interesting, you know, as you can see here. Now, I've shown these off before, so this is not the first time you should be seeing this. You know, very nice artwork, you know. Now, there is another deck that came out that I wanted to order. And I got it earlier this week. And it's absolutely my favorite deck. It's beautiful. And it's by one of my favorite designers, Marchetti. And here it is. This is the new deck. And although I like what I saw online, when it finally came, it was more than impressive. Okay, so I'll show you. This is the back of the deck. Now, His name is Ciro Marchetti. He's a designer, and he is known for creating some really, really cool designs. Now, here's the fronts of the deck, and I want you just to look at this artwork and how beautiful it looks. I'm gonna cover everything. Sorry. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. He has your major arcana, your minor arcana, and look at that judgment. That judgment is so beautiful. This is coins. We have cups. Beautiful artwork. Oh, more cups. I mean, if you're watching this, I can't you'll never get the real feel of how beautiful these cards are across your monitor. But when you get these, if you order them, you'll see. They're absolutely stunning. This is one of my favorite ones here. Queen of Swords. Look at that. Look at the dolphins here. Beautiful, isn't it? One of the things that attracted me to this deck is when I saw the black woman. I was like, you don't see that a lot in certain tarot decks. So I had to get that. I said, okay, whoa, beautiful, you know. Some decks tend to leave out people of color, you know. Here's a nice one. Here's the Magician. And Justice. Then we have the Lovers. So it's beautiful artwork. And if that resonates with you, then get the deck. If it doesn't, find a deck that you feel comfortable with. That's what I'll say on that, you know. I tend to keep a library of decks, and I use them depending on my mood and the type of readings I'm doing. But let's get into the subject of today. I remember years ago, I was telling somebody about people of color, Black people, ADOS, African Americans, FBA, whatever you want to call them, Freedmen. I said, the one thing Black people do is they're risk adverse. We're not early adopters. So if we see somebody doing something and they are very successful with it, then we'll all jump on the bandwagon. And what we end up doing is not only just being copycats, but we'll saturate the market to the point of where we'll just expend that market. This has happened with the dating arena that I've seen. You know, there were people doing information on dating, like your MGTOWs, a lot of individuals, dating coaches out there, you know, the PUAs. But then when Kevin Samuels came onto the scene, everybody switched their channels to dating and dating advice. And because they saw that he was very successful, so the market began to be saturated. Okay, so that happens. That's what, you know, and usually a lot of times in any industry that can happen. You have a hamburger that's really good, McDonald's releases it, and Burger King releases theirs, and Wendy's releases theirs, you know, things like that. But what we have done is a grave injustice. We are focusing so much on the dating thing and excluding the health and wellness aspect of our people. So everybody has a dating channel that's just giving you this dating advice, and everybody thinks they're a dating guru. But yet no one is addressing things like civil rights, human rights, ending white supremacy. Oh, there's a lot of rhetoric and talk, but no one's actually doing anything. Meanwhile, when you go online, you see this overabundance of people talking about hooking up and why men and women are not seeing eye to eye. What's up with this gender war thing? And it's okay to talk about that, but when you're excluding other aspects that are going on in the global community, then there's a problem. And what I'm seeing is a lot of talk and no action, both in the dating and mating scene and in the civil rights scene. And it tends to be the modus operandi with us, to the point where I'm so sick of seeing videos of some new guy talking about dating and mating, and he's starting his channel talking about women or men, or she's talking about men. It's a little ridiculous at this point. And the reason being is because, not because this it definitely is a problem in our community. And it's a problem that has its origin in white supremacy, you see, because white supremacy has an interest in keeping us separate, preventing us from procreating. So what I'm saying is, you're trying to address the symptom without looking at the cause. So everybody's coming out giving dating advice, but no one's saying how we need to tackle this white supremacy and taking action. See, I originally thought that when people started channels, would be organizing, using the channels as means of underground communication for overthrowing white supremacy. But no, we're using it to brag about ourselves, to brag about celebrity topics, who's dating who, to brag about who's right and who's wrong. And we sit and we wonder why there is racism. We sit and wonder why there is police brutality. Look at yourself in the mirror. Look what we're doing. I went to the Oracle to do a reading on it, and the Oracle was simple, that we're out of order. We're not doing what we should be doing. You see, we're at war with an enemy that wants to wipe us off the planet, and we're talking about dating and mating. Now, there's nothing wrong with addressing that, and we should be, but we have to learn to multitask. We have to learn to say, this has its origin. This problem with our dating and mating has its origin in white supremacy. So let's attack this white supremacist thing, because you're not going to fix the issue of the dating and mating without addressing white supremacy. You're not. Because the whole Me Too movement, the feminist movement, came out of white supremacists. So we're going to have to address that. All these channels trying to get you to sign up for their consultations and all of this, and most of them are full of it. In fact, I challenged a couple of them to I said, listen, we'll have this contest. You can come to Las Vegas and we'll go to a club and we'll see who will be able to attract more women, you or me. And nobody took me up on that offer because they're phonies. And they don't know what they're doing. And I get sick of it. And it tends to be that they appeal to the lowest common denominator, meaning that they're not appealing to the Black intelligentsia. They're appealing to this hood element, which is pervasive in our community and has destroyed our community. They're appealing to like your Pookies and your Ray Rays. And I'll address that later in another video, but we have to get rid of this thug, ghetto rap, hood mentality immediately, or else we'll never progress, never progress. And then I see, especially coming from women, saying, well, there are problems on both ends. I'm like, no, there's not problems on both ends. I was actually on a show a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking to the woman, and I said, no, there are not problems on both ends. There is the white supremacist that is funding and pushing up one end so that it can destroy the other end. And if you don't see that, then you're either blind or you're ignoring the truth. But I'll get into the details of that later. And there are a lot of lies that are being put out there and misinformation. And this is why people don't have really good relationships. And I'm going to tell you from the start, if you start with a dysfunctional community, which is what we have, you're going to have dysfunctional relationships. And that's what we have. We have dysfunctional relationships. And the majority of the guys that I work with are, and I hate to use this term, but I'll use it to facilitate the conversation, are very beta, just beta males. And they've been taught that way by their mothers and their fathers by default, because if your father is not active in your life and teaching you how to be an alpha male, by inference, he's teaching you how to be a beta male. Because he doesn't have to talk to you or say things. His behavior can dictate to you whether he's alpha or beta. And you, as a young, impressionable child, will pick up on that behavior and emulate it whether you like it or not. That's the whole offset faculty, indiscriminate imitation. You're imitating something whether it's right or wrong. And this is why you'll see a lot of Black men in our communities with feminine traits who are gay. And the reason that they are gay is because they've been around their mothers. His mothers have ruled their lives so much that no one has taught them how to be a man, and it creates an identity crisis. Now, that's not the rule of thumb. I'm not saying that's why everybody's gay. Of course not. But I'm saying that a majority of people in our community, especially Black men who turn out to be gay, come from a single parent household where the mother was very dominant and passed on very feminine traits. No one was there to teach him how to be a man and to reaffirm his sexual identity. This is why we need the nuclear family. This is why individuals like George Soros created BLM to destroy the nuclear family in the Black communities and to support the alphabet community. Now, I'm not here to say you should go this way or go that way. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to tell you that our relationships are dysfunctional because we have a community that's dysfunctional. As Ma'at says, there's an interconnectedness and interdependence between all things. This is why I advise a lot of people to go outside the community to get into a relationship, because your community is just messed up. When you start to see your community produce things like Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, Doja Cat, you know that the community is basically over and done with. And I spoke to a friend this weekend, and I told him how I was just upset at the fact that we are not proactive in fixing things in our community. And this doesn't mean that you get up and do a laborious task. What I'm saying is that when I did readings on these so-called celebrities, I got the 18th hexagram, which said, working on that which has been spoiled. And meaning that you have allowed a situation to spoil. Nicki Minaj and all these other people, Megan Thee Stallion, you should not in any way be supporting. They should not be coming out your mouth. You should not be listening to their music, because they are devils. They are working for evil oligarchy to destroy you. They are working for evil oligarchy that's out to destroy you. I can listen. I remember I was walking down the strip and I listened to some rap track that this guy was playing, and I heard clearly the subliminals on it were satanic and evil. And this is why, and not the full reason, you have a lot of black on black crime, because you have tracks that are actively encouraging you to be violent, actively encouraging you to be emotional. Listening to that rap, nothing good can come out of that. But so many of us, even those of us in our late 40s, 50s, and 60s, are listening to rap, which is ridiculous. And to not think that that doesn't have a profound effect on you, you're ignorant. It's going to affect you in terms of your behavior, your relationships, how you function at the job, your economics. It's going to affect you. But we have allowed these things to seep into our community, and we made it the dominant culture. And it should not be the dominant culture. We should have expelled it as soon as it came into the communities. Now we have thought culture. Read about this woman who graduated from Florida University as a counselor. She took a picture of herself nude to celebrate her body. Now, this is a woman who has a master's, just got a master's in some type of counseling. Do you think that I would go to anybody like that who took a picture of himself nude right after graduation? But this is the culture that we've cultivated and we have allowed to manifest. It is evil. It is satanic. And I've been saying it for years. There's an evil element within the Black community, but no one's listening. No one's taking any direct action. People are like, well, there's some aspects of rap music that are good. I said, yeah, maybe old school, but those days are gone. That's like saying, well, maybe there's some aspects of cancer that are good. Do you hear how stupid you sound? They found long time ago, I think it was the early 70s, that these rock and roll groups, that when you played the records backwards, it was telling you to worship Satan and to kill yourself. You think they stopped doing stuff like that? You think that a world culture like hip hop, you think they don't put those tracks in there? You're kidding yourself. And I've said that white supremacy now is attacking relationships. These people are devilish, devil-minded. And they don't want you to hook up and procreate. So they create problem after problem after problem. And then you wonder why. What's going on with this gender war? Why can't we agree? Well, because you have an outside influence that's wrecking things. And this is why I brought to you a way of approaching things that can help you in dealing with finding a mate, whether it be twin flame, soulmate, or one night stand, whatever you want. But there's a correct way to approach it so you don't hook up with somebody who's mentally ill. And there's a lot of undiagnosed mental illness in the Black community. It's set up to be that way. They don't want you sane. They want you mentally ill, which is why they won't give you reparations, because reparations means you would use some of that money for health care. You got to understand that the dynamics of this chess game. You're playing checkers and they're playing chess. And we make excuses for our dysfunctional behavior, like that woman getting the master's as a counselor and then taking a picture of her nude body trying to celebrate the naked body. That was her excuse. She's psychologically dysfunctional. And the university talked about how they may consider taking her degree away. There should be no consideration. You should have ripped that degree out of her hand. You don't give somebody who's supposed to be a counselor a degree who just went and took a nude picture of herself talking about she's celebrating the nude body. No. Then there's a senator, I forgot her name, who's queer, and she started twerking to get votes. Well, then you immediately disqualify her for running for Senate. I mean, these are no-brainers. But we arguing in our community as this is up for debate. It's not. When you're dealing with somebody who's mentally ill, you leave them. I talk to so many people and I tell them, your partner is mentally ill. Run for the hills. And they're still trying to work it out. I'm like, there is no working it out with a mentally ill person. You're not a counselor. You don't have a degree in that field. How much do you know about being bipolar? Nothing. So you need to get the hell out of that relationship. And they only leave as the final resort. And by that time, they have gone through a horrible, horrible experience. Now, before you get into a relationship, you should be doing readings on the woman or the man. And if you're getting negative readings, dark deceased, wajet, nekabet, run for the hills. Leave that person alone. Cardi B is dysfunctional. She's sick. You don't put a baby in her belly, which is what the man did, because he's dysfunctional too. And what are they going to produce? A dysfunctional baby. And you yourself should be getting into some type of therapy to work out what has been going on, because yes, you are dysfunctional too. Maybe not to as extreme as a Cardi B, but you are dysfunctional, because you can't come out this thing called slavery and not be dysfunctional and not be insane. We have carried over a family legacy of dysfunctionalism and normalize it to the point of where we think it's okay. It's okay behavior. And the pit pastor ministers have failed you. Creflo Dollar has failed you. T.D. Jakes has failed you. Frederick Price, who's passed away, has failed you because they lied to you to keep you tithing and told you you were okay. You're not okay. You're sick. But people don't like to hear that because they want their egos fed. Those rappers in those rap videos, rapping about how much money they got, guns and all that, they're mentally sick. But you don't see it because it's become normalized to you. Anybody that does a video holding guns and making it rain and jewelry, you're sick. Any minister that wears $1 million on the pulpit is sick and needed to be robbed. Who wears $1 million of jewelry in a church on the pulpit? That's the epitome of dysfunctionalism. But you think it's okay. You've normalized it. I can't tell you how many times people have argued with me over dysfunctionalism. For example, people are like, especially from these nutcases, the black nationalists. Well, he's dating a white woman or she's dating a white man. I said, the true essence of who you are has no gender, has no color. It is amen, And so you can't really comment on who they're dating. Plus, you don't know what happened in the past life. That person that you see them dating, they may have met them in the past life, and they're now paying off the past life karma by hooking up with them again. You can't pass judgment like that. You can't say stupid things like that because society has trained you to look at color. For example, we look at people on drugs and we call them drug addicts. That is a ridiculous name. These are individuals that need help and therapy because the reason they're addicted to drugs is because the CIA put crack and cocaine in our communities. The government prevented us from getting jobs. The government put liquor stores in our communities. So you're going to have dysfunctional people. You're going to have drug addicts, but you need to be sympathetic for the drug addicts and you need to put them in therapy and not pass judgment. I'm so sick of these black nationalists talking about who's dating who. Well, he should be dating a white woman. He is a freaking adult. He can date whoever he wants. The reason why you're bringing that up because you can't date a white woman, so you're jealous. Otherwise, you would shut the hell up. Did you know that there were Roman emperors who were black? And because they were in Rome, they married Roman white women. So don't think interracially these things are new. And if you're looking at who the person is with and not what the person has done, then you're a freaking idiot. Because there are couples who are black, and I know a couple who are black, are some of the most despicable, immoral people I know. So looking at people just because they're from the same race doesn't make them moral, doesn't make them good people. And again, I don't tell two adults what to do in the privacy of their home. I don't tell two adults who to date. That is a waste of time. I recall this phone call, this Byron Allen, the billionaire, who's on being interviewed, and they opened up the phone lines, and you can call Byron Allen to ask for business advice. Again, let me say this: you could call into Byron Allen and ask for business advice from this billionaire. This idiot scumbag from the ghetto called in and said to him, well, I just want to know where your money's going because you're married to a white woman. When you die, is that money going to go to the white woman? So they were going to hang up on the caller, but Byron Allen was nice and said, no, I'll answer that question. And he said, yes, my money is going to go to my wife because she is my wife. And then the guy said, see, that's the problem. That's the problem. You brothers who get money, get rich, giving your money to these white women. So I said, well, I was thinking, I'm saying, I would have cut him off because that she's supposed to have money to take care of his kids. Furthermore, when the light turns red, I bet he stops. So that's telling you that white men control his life, this caller. When his alarm clock rings 7 a.m., I bet you his ass gets up and goes to work for the white man. When the light bill is due, I bet you he pays the money to the white man. I bet you when he goes to the grocery store, he's giving money to the white man. When he goes to university, which this guy would never because he's an idiot and uneducated, and he pays for the tuition, he's giving that money to the white man. Do you see where I'm saying? Do you see where I'm going? Skywatchers, a lot of these women overseas have not been indoctrinated into feminism. And part of the budget every year goes to foreign aid to push feminism so they can create problems all over the world with relationships. This is why you'll find Arab countries that don't want our ideology when it comes to women. You understand? So when you're thinking about like dating a woman, do your oracle reading first and foremost. And I'm sorry, women, that you may not like to hear this, but if you're marrying a man, it is not a 50-50 relationship. And he is not your partner. He is your husband. And she is not your partner. She is your wife. That term partner is designed to minimize the roles that each of us must play. The role that I must play is of a provider and protector of my wife and family. My wife does not lead. She follows my lead. Because in primitive times, when we were going through the jungle and tracking through the jungle, I was ahead of her and she was behind. Therefore, any lions attacked or any danger, I would be able to fight it off while she would be able to get away with the kids. So I lead, she follows. That's not oppressive talk or behavior. That's not the patriarchy talking. When I'm in the bed and I hear somebody downstairs, I get up, pull out my gun, and go downstairs to take care of business. Not her. Her responsibility is to get up, find the kids, and find a safe place to hide. That's her responsibility. That's not fixed roles and the patriarchy being oppressive. That's a functional society. A functional society. One of the things I stipulate, and when I was in my polygamous relationship, is I told the women, because every time I got into a polygamous relationship, I would constantly run into this problem. I said, I don't want you two talking behind my back. You two get together, you voice your upset, how upset you are, your concerns. And I feel like you're plotting. If you have problems, we're going to bring it together and we'll bring it to the table and deal with it as a family. But I don't want you two talking behind my back. And the last relationship I was in, one of the girls was Asian, and she operated 100% on point. Beautiful. Because the other girl started stating problems. And the Asian girl took care of those problems. And then she revealed to me that these were problems that she never brought up to me because she was handling it and she didn't want me to get stressed out because she knew I was busy with other things. But she handled it. And both of them said, I know you're doing your film. We got your back. We will support you. The last thing you need coming home is to family drama or people that are going to be causing you more stress. Women have been trained in this society to hook up. And I'm sorry to say this, but this is the dominant culture, to hook up with your thugs, your criminally minded, your edgy guys, your abusive guys. They have been taught by the society that those men are sexy, interesting, and you should be with them. The boring guy is the guy that's going to work 9 to 5, paying the bills and making sure you have a roof over your head. He's boring. Don't hook up with him. These music industry stars like your Doja Cat and Nicki Minaj, some of them, not all, are paid to pretend like they're dating so-and-so. Look at Megan Fox and who she's dating. The boy looks like a meth head. This is to influence women to date the most perverse and corrupt in our society because they don't want a functional society. So they train women to date guys who are immature and dysfunctional. Do you understand? There's a video of a guy who was on this dating program. The woman was interviewing him, and he talked about he's into chess, he's a nuclear physicist, and right away she found him boring. And I understood why. She's programmed to find him boring. Now, if another guy came on who was unemployed, who had the Pookie and Ray Ray mentality, she would have found that sexy and interesting. But again, this is about the programming. I want you to think about that. This is why you've got to learn how to take your mind out of the matrix and start looking at potential mates in a different way. Because too many of us have been programmed by society to be selfish, to be egotistical, to be materialistic. One of the things that I commented on with Amber Heard, and I totally understand that men and women have urges, women want to have sex, guys want to have sex, so I understand that, right? But the thing that I told a friend this because he was dating this Japanese woman. I said, she's a woman that you can spend the night with, but she's not a woman you marry, because he wanted to marry her. It ended up ending disastrously. And I said, the problem that happened with Johnny Depp was Amber Heard's the type of woman you have fun with, but not the type you make a wife. He married that. He misunderstood the roles here. I said, Amber Heard will do your threesomes. She'll do the drugs with you. She'll have fun with you. But that's not who you want as a wife. As a wife, you want to have somebody who's going to help you get off drugs, who's going to have your kids, who's going to cook for you, who's going to support you as a mega star, who's going to climb with you as you go to the top. Men have to stop wifing up thoughts and dysfunctional women. Women, when they get into this industry, and Whitney Houston is a perfect example, got with Bobby Brown. That's dysfunctional behavior. She was supposed to get together with a record executive, a CEO, or the head of some movie studio, because she was supposed to get with somebody who could take her to the next level and beyond, not bring her down by doing more and more drugs. Because if you hook up with the right people, especially in music or Hollywood, you could become mega rich, mega well known. If you hook up with the wrong people, yes, you'll get a lot of fame, but your life will be hell. Look what Johnny Depp went through. Picking the wrong woman, his life was hell. This is especially important with women because women by nature are hypergamous. You are supposed to monkey branch to something higher, not lower. Bobby Brown was going low. He could not afford you the opportunity to move up. And I don't care if she dated a white man. I said, look, if you're going to date a white man, make sure he's a CEO. Make sure he's the head of the record company or so-and-so. That's how you build a family dynasty. That's how you leave a legacy for your kids. And it hurts me to see that Whitney Houston died drug addicted. Listen, if I have a habit, let's say if I have a habit of drinking too much coffee, right? My mate is supposed to help me work through that. My mate shouldn't be sitting there and drinking more coffee than me. That doesn't help me with my problem. She's supposed to be supportive and help me deal with this habit, and vice versa. But we get into a relationship with people with the same dysfunctionalism as us. Then you have a freaking disaster. Mike, are you listening to me? Because you're obviously not. All right, my brother, listen to what I'm saying. It doesn't matter if Bobby was more clear-headed than she was, which is true. You're absolutely right. I'll give you credit 100%. Bobby was more clear-headed than she was, but that's not the point. We're talking hypergamy. She was supposed to get with somebody with power and position. That's what you're supposed to do as a woman. In the primitive time, women would compete for the alpha male, not the beta male, not the zeta male or whatever. Sir, yes, Bobby was clear-headed. Bobby got off drugs and Whitney didn't. But the point was, she shouldn't have been in that relationship in the first place if she was doing what most sane women do when they're hypergamous, is that they move up and they get like a billionaire or a prince. That's what you're supposed to do, technically speaking, Mike. But yes, you're right. I didn't mean to sound like I was coming down on you, but you're right. But I just want you to say being clear-headed is not. Look, saying somebody's clear-headed is like saying water is wet. You know, you're supposed to be clear-headed. You know, there's nothing revelation about or good about that. You're supposed to be. Anyway, I've got to run. I've got a consultation to get to. So please donate to the channel if you feel this message has helped you. I'm going to be doing more on the dating and mating subject to help people. And we'll get deeper into this, a lot deeper. So this is Qesankh Keperu, son of my aunt Tahuti. My aunt is the beautiful goddess Heteru. Until my next video, Amun Ra.